Yeah. DQ, baby. LAE on the track. About to have some fun with this one. Check. Back to catch wreck. No respect for those who break their neck to keep their hoes in check. Be sure to check the box off how I'm knocking their socks off. Unique flavor, stay in the bag like hot sauce. Let me get mine off. These niggas is tripping, they signed off. I'm becoming a one-of-a-kind boss. Think the kush is for Germany, the way the man cough. Hilarious with the flow, I'm fucking the word off. These niggas claim they hard, they really appear soft and peeled off. Mad job when I aim when the spears toss. Newbie ass rappers is really my kids now. I'm just Aubrey on the gram, cropping these kids out. Back to catch wreck. No respect for those who break their neck to keep their hoes in check. Be sure to check the box off how I'm knocking their socks off. Unique flavor, stay in the bag like hot sauce. Better call a timeout. A fool nigga, you a fool nigga. Think you can fuck with this rap style. I do this shit for fun, I'm really the class clown. Tap dancing on top of niggas' heads till they tap out. Really the cash cow, submission hole, yeah you pigeonhole. Realizing your dice then crapped out. Put yourself in the box, you really just assed out. Cause your boy about to pop and I'm shutting that ass down. Cream of the crop, it really get passed round. Cause I'm cooler than the cooler of cools in Hicktown. Niggas claim they rappers, they really just sit down. Only rap for Facebook, I'm reporting that shit now. Compilation of music, sending the zip file to the nearest A&R. Big fish in a big town. Musically inclined, I'm never gonna slip down. Cause the shit is going up as soon as it's mixed down. Back to catch wreck. No respect for those who break their neck to keep their hoes in check. Be sure to check the box off how I'm knocking their socks off. Unique flavor, stay in the bag like hot sauce. DQ.
Yeah, the hot sauce is so fire. Another DQ banger. What's up? Yeah, I'm hype. Welcome back, God, Galaxy and beyond. Happy New Year. New Year, same pony puff. Yeah.
Peace, everybody. Peace. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. It's been a little while. Happy New Year to everybody. Hope everybody had a good holiday. But it's time to get back at it. Let's get it.
Get back at it. Let's get it. Let go. Cedric, holla at the people real quick.
You know, I'm from the Caribbean, so hot sauce is my thing. Shout out to DQ. You don't know. That's fire. Yeah, we back at it, pseudo killers. You know what we do. We're gonna stay on the front end of the conversations in this community. Because if we don't move it, they're gonna stay stuck. So let's move the bar. Let's go deep dive it.
Man, let me tell you. Put your helmet on, put your life vest on, put your ski suit on, put your fire suit on, whatever you got to protect you. And when you do that, then I want you to go ahead and wrap a rope around you, right? Tied to the tree on the outside of the hole before you dive in, all right? So I'm going to give y'all like a few seconds. Y'all go ahead and get prepared before we go ahead and dive into that rabbit hole. You feel me? All right.
Those that are stuck down there, we got a couple of lifelines. We could get you out.
Yeah, we get you out.
Yeah, we got a lifeline. It's a few of them in there that's trying to get out. They stuck, so we're gonna pull them on out of there. You know what I'm saying?
Pull them on up.
As long as we get one or two, we in.
We good.
1 or 2, we good, right? If you just say one, that's good enough, right?
Hey, that's one less. That's one less we got to worry about, you know.
Yeah. Sometimes my eyesight don't be working, so I gotta go ahead and put on them coaches, right? I need new lenses, y'all. I know y'all can't tell, but until these glasses do everything. That's why I don't wear them, but you know, I need them though. So give me just how in the
peace to you, my brother Gideon. Peace.
What up, Gideon? Holla at the people. Pseudo killer.
Peace. What's up? Pseudo killers. You already know.
You already know.
I'm in the building.
You is. So I'm gonna give a shout out, Mongoose Slade in the building. You know we appreciate you, right? We got Spin Barrel, y'all. We got Tusama in the building. Vasa, what it do, family? Brother Logic. We got Ghoul Fine Ting, you already know what's up. The homie Steph, and you already know Chill. Chill, boy. I can't wait till April, boy. We finna get it in over there in Egypt, the land of the black. I believe. We got Pseudo Killer official Kent Logan in the building, and of course, the beautiful
Miss Gemini the Goddess. Peace to you, my sister. Thank you for joining in. We got my brother Marcus, Pseudo Killer official. Appreciate y'all. There you go, Miss Juju. You back.
Yo,
There you go.
myself out, y'all. I'm so excited.
It be that way sometimes.
Lord, I kick myself.
Hey, I'll be right back, guys.
Okay.
All right, peace.
Yeah, so I gotta start it over. Gemini, the beautiful Gemini, the goddess in the building, right? Where you stop? MB, I call them hits, y'all. I don't be going back.
Yeah.
NY hits, because I'm so dyslexic. But we got hits in the building. He'll be doing some awesome stuff in the server. Of course, we got the Pseudo Killer Army, the Colonel, the General, the Sergeant, and the Captain. Brass is in the building.
Peace to you, Brass. Peace, my brother.
Right? Posterior thought. I need you to hit that link. Y'all, this ninja boy, he we don't know what he looked like, and we don't know what he's what we do know is that he's a very intelligent mind, though. Okay.
Very intelligent.
Yeah.
Very intelligent.
Yo, we don't know, man. But I tried to beg him to get on the panel for this conversation because him and a few others like Cedric and some others are like into this. I call it the philosophy game, or the philosophy kids and PQ. I ain't that, right? I can learn some things and expound on them, but to articulate philosophical points the way they do, yeah, I ain't that. And I know I ain't even gonna play like I'm that. I'm not playing. Yeah, so let's go ahead.
They're on another level when they that brain conversation and the free will and all that, that's another level. So I'm learning. I'm the student in those conversations and the philosophical conversations and stuff, all that's an area that's brand new to me. So yeah, I would love to hear, some feedback from especially those guys, posterior, Marcus, logic, on this subject,
Correct. I just kind of want to dive into, but I normally like get it popping.
Do your thing, baby. Do your thing.
But I don't know. I think I'm
Yeah, let me just add, I'm an amateur and a real amateur when it comes to the subject of philosophy. But I'm being scientifically literate. It forces you to delve into certain aspects of philosophy. So you need to know, for example, that when we're in the realm of science, we're in the realm of methodological naturalism. And the methodological part is the actual application of the scientific method, and it relies on empirical data. So there must be a there for us to even come up with a hypothesis, and then that hypothesis has to be testable and falsifiable. So and that for me is such a firm place to start every conversation from, because it gives me the tools to distinguish what is reality from imagination, what warrants further discourse, or what can be dismissed. So that's that. It affords you, like Richard Kyra said in his discussion with Ankh, there are a couple of simple tools that you need to have in your wheelhouse when you're engaging with any form of information. You need to understand basic components of logic. So how are these arguments grounded? And you need to understand the philosophical paradigm within which they're having the conversation. If you have these two things down, you can maneuver your way through the Black Egypt conversation as if you're a pro.
So who's that you said? Carrier?
Yeah, Richard Carrier.
I know you was saying I'm messing with you. So with that said, thank you, Cedric, because I know where I'm going to start, right? I got notes for days. So I wanted to understand better, right? Because, like theory and scientific theory, I needed to know if there was like maybe some fundamental differences when we talk about hypothesis and maybe a scientific hypothesis. And it is. So I think that's also something that we should like reiterate to people. So, and yeah, I don't try to fake knowing everything and try to, remember everything. I can study these things for 2 weeks, but that ain't gonna happen. Like, I'm not scared to use notes. And anyone who says, oh, they had to read, I don't care. Like, I'd rather be accurate than have to make it up at the dome of my head and be dead ass wrong. You feel me? So,
Can I interject for a second? Have you ever been to a university lecture and the professor not have notes and books in front of him while he's teaching?
Never. Never. If they don't got notes, they got a PowerPoint. I mean, they got something, an outline. If they don't got that, they sent you a syllabus the night before at the beginning of the semester. It's never without some type of guide line, framework, something, whatever. It's never without that. So yeah, that's the weirdest thing. But anyway, my notes, I wanted to pretty much relegate the difference between just having a hypothesis. Let's say a philosophical hypothesis while we're here, right? And a scientific one, right? So a hypothesis is a tentative and testable statement or a proposition, right? That's just an explanation for a phenomena. It's a proposition that can be investigated and either confirmed or refuted through empirical observation or explanation. But a scientific hypothesis, it's a special type, right? So it's formulated within the context of the scientific method. That's the important part right there. A scientific hypothesis is going to be formulated in the scientific method, meaning it has parameters, right? Parameters and how it's tested and everything. So that's one point. Scientific hypothesis is based on empirical observation and are testable through experimentation or observation within the scientific method. They are a crucial component to the scientific process, where hypotheses guide the design of the experiment, right? And help scientists draw conclusions about the natural world. So there's a difference. One, we can make hypotheses about, the supernatural. We can make all these summations, all we want. But understand when it comes to a scientific hypothesis, it's only going to be discussing the natural world, right? What we know. It's not going to be discussing the supernatural, which is a little different for philosophy, which is another thing that I really want to understand, and it's fact. Philosophy falls in between religion and science, right? But as I was doing my research, there was so many elements of philosophy that we find in science. And as we get through the show, I will point out some very specific ones that I was like, oh, shucks now. Oh, shucks. So again, when we talk about the free will, and this is why I love the conversation. Sorry to be talking so much, but we're having this free will conversation, right? That is a philosophical piece. But I know some of you will also hear me say a lot that in my little bitty understanding, at the size of a mustard seed understanding, where I find the free will conversation is on that cusp, right? So it's moving from philosophy into science, but that's just my opinion. Let me just say that. That's my hypothesis. Okay.
No, it is a valid observation.
It is a valid observation, right?
It is one that I made early on in the discussion. We operated based on this hypothesis. And it was one of a philosophical nature in trying to explain how we process information. Right? And it was in a time where concepts like dualism and these type of things were being proposed. And it was the birthplace of science. Why? Science relies on hypotheses that we then test.
Yeah.
So we weren't able to actually put that hypothesis to the test until the advent of modern science. Our
Right.
understanding of genetics, our understanding of neuroscience, our understanding of psychiatry and psychology.
And some new
Using these scientific disciplines, we are now able to test this hypothesis. And we have come to the conclusion rather easy that there is no way that you can separate the process of decision making from the physical, which puts this process totally within the realm of methodological naturalism, reality, determinism. And
mm-hmm.
within that determinism, do not forget there are things like chaos theory, which
Facts, butterfly effect,
which doesn't
lot of what
allow us
you're
to
listening.
engage in the conversation of predeterminism.
Fact. That's true. And it's funny because about everything you said came up in my 2.5 week long inquiry of this subject matter. Because Anthony is like quick on his toes with it because he understands the parameters, but usually he only deals in the parameters of the science, right? So whether it's a philosophical discussion, he's going to examine and explain the scientific aspects or nature or where we should be with it, right? So we don't get lost in that damn rabbit hole.
Yeah, you fall in that rabbit hole there, but you know when it's good, you know, I mean, philosophy is a great thing. You know what I'm saying? And I guess I don't want to say it's bad or good, but when it's good, you know, you can start to develop tools to help you to determine, you know what I'm saying, whether it's reality, or whatever the case may be.
Facts.
A prime example would be what we've talked about for a while, black holes.
Yeah, oh yeah.
At one point in time, that was just a thought. That was just a philosophical thought.
Facts.
But over time, tools were developed to where we're able to prove that it's a scientific fact. You know, it's a reality. You know, we know there are black holes. They're not just philosophical anymore. You know what I'm saying? So philosophy is a great thing. You know, I don't want anybody to think, you know, we're trying to knock philosophy in any kind of way. No,
Absolutely
we're not.
not. I love
That's what
philosophy.
Yeah,
I would use the synonym speculation. Philosophy allows you the room to speculate, to watch and observe, and just in your own within the framework of your mind, go through the thought process of what could be, right? And it allows us to think, and that's why we come up with concepts of like ontology, epistemology. Epistemology is a philosophical idea of how do you know what you know? How do we distinguish fact from fiction, reality from imagination? And this is a philosophical concept. But now, understanding this philosophical concept affords you tools to again examine claims.
Correct. I think it's also important to understand that philosophy helps to create an area where you also can become somewhat a critical and logical thinker because you have to examine many different things, right? But for me, being scientifically literate, of course, it adds those parameters which will keep you out of the rabbit hole, meaning that it at the stop sign, it stops those, how shall I say, maybe those, you know, kind of religious assumptions or things that just cannot be scientifically qualified, right? Yeah, they're just going to be figments of your imagination, and it's not logical to try to make up figments of your imagination and throw them off as science. Anthony, though, I wanted you to get into what we're going to be discussing, and I want the audience to tell me where you want to start. You want to tell me where we're at now with the simulation theory, or you want me to tell you where we started with the simulation theory? But Anthony, go ahead. Wow.
Well, it's as far as as far as it being a theory, you know, it's one of those, I don't know what you call it. It's not a theory, put it
No,
like that.
the argument, actually.
Yeah, it's definitely not a scientific theory.
No, okay. Yeah, you're going there.
It's because there's no objective way to test any part of it. You know, it's like our good brother Bobby Banger always say, you know, never acquiesce to a faulty premise.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, it's a faulty premise, because if you're thinking about it scientifically, how are you going to test any part of it? You know, that we don't know of half of what's in this universe, but we damn sure don't know nothing outside of the universe. And if we're living in a simulation, then that means there has to be something outside of our universe, if our universe is a computer simulation. So being scientifically minded, you know, that's where I start with it. And it's the basic things, understanding what a computer is. Here in this universe, you need a plug to plug in your computer. You need a computer programmer, you know what I'm saying? Somebody to operate the computer, you know, and for us to be in this universe, where is that plug? You know, what is the computer plugged into to give it power to run this simulation? And then you got, that's a very powerful computer, because it's controlling billions of people on this planet, and animals and weather and, you know, everything we see going on around us, and the things we're doing. And then it's doing it on a scale of billions of years. You know what I'm saying? Because we know that the universe is about 13.8 to 14 billion years old. So
right,
this computer simulation, you know, you have to take all of that into account. So who's doing this? I mean, is this another way to try to slide the God of the Gaps deal in? You know what I'm saying? Or how are we going to objectively test it? Well, we can't. So it's all subjective. It's all conjecture. You know what I'm saying? It's no different from any religion or any mythology, or, like you say, philosophy. It's just somebody's thought. That's all it is. You know what I'm saying? It can't be more than that. Because, like I say, you got to start with where is the plug for this computer that's running this simulation? So that's the approach I take with it. You know what I'm saying? There's steps in the scientific method, and you have to meet those steps to be considered science. You know what I'm saying? You can call it science all you want. You can call it a theory or whatever. But what we do over here is we break those things down. And there is a process, and there's a methodology that goes along with being science. You know what I'm saying? And this idea doesn't meet any of the scientific requirements. You know, it doesn't at all. So, I mean, there's no way to objectively test anything about this. So it's just an idea.
That's exactly what it is, and why it took off. Again, it is the use of particular words. Simulation. When we think of simulation, we think of advanced technology. So we think science, and then we have theory.
computers.
Yeah, we have theory, and we put simulation theory together, and we give it too much weight that it doesn't require. First of all, exactly. So first of all, it isn't a theory. It is a philosophical speculation on reality, and the philosophical question of questioning reality, and that is based on limited understanding or colloquial interpretation of what science says. For example, an atom is 99% empty space. So is anything really solid? The humans only see this much in the spectrum of light. So because we don't see infrared and gamma rays, do we
Right.
actually see what we're seeing? It's our brain that processes the information. Change the pure white light to UV, and the perception that we have changed. So now using these scientific facts, which is just science being counterintuitive, philosophy tries to make them intuitive and then uses false analogies. We're in the computer age, and that's exactly how we're going to observe and try to explain reality colloquially. It is much more difficult to engage in a conversation about subatomic particles, how you say, the intertwining of particles at a large distance. These are much more harder concepts and scientifically rooted to explain reality. So we go to analogies, but these analogies only explain how we interpret reality. It doesn't explain reality. And to make the leap to now conclude, right? And again, Anthony hit the nail on the head. It is the God of the gaps argument all over again. These things are all rooted in mind-body dualism, the fact that there is a conscious agent that exists outside of reality producing reality. These are where they all rooted in.
So when you talk about mind-body dualism, I take a lot of notes, right, y'all? We might not get through all of them, but I have them anyway. But I believe mind-body dualism comes from Rene Descartes and his somewhat approach. When you ask who are some of the ancient or, older proponents of simulation theory, you will always run into Rene Descartes, also Plato. When you're talking about his cave allegory, which is very interesting. Like, I actually liked it a little bit, right? And let me tell you how it goes real quick, right? And then I'll get back on track. But the the cave allegory was my favorite because it was actually Socrates kind of narrating it, asking Plato's brother, Glaucon, some questions, and they were kind of going, back and forth with, these ideas. And Socrates was using the cave on the cave allegory. And it goes like this. You have people in a cave, right? And they're chained up in the cave and they're only facing the wall. But outside the cave, there's a fire. So when everyone on the outside passes by, it emits the shadow on the walls. So to the people in the cave, the shadow on the wall is reality to them. Not understanding that outside the cave is the real reality. Y'all get that? Either way, if you didn't get how I put it together, I left the link in the description box, right? Yeah. Not only
that was great, Miss Juju. That was perfect.
Yeah, the cave analogy, it is more, and if we look at it from the lens of science, it is much more applicable in the scientific realm. Why? We have this perception of reality. But it's until we use the tools of science to actually go beyond what our perception gives us, do we truly understand what is taking place. Correct. So I use it in a much more scientific format. But the concept, what they were trying to explain is talking about higher realms. That what we're experiencing is the shadow of what lies beyond.
Correct.
Let me do it in that voice.
And that goes into the part where he speaks about platonic realms, right? Or the realm of forms. I'm not going to get all into that, but if y'all want to understand more, I left the links. Descartes also, Rene Descartes, very interesting, though I found Plato to be phenomenal in that, but I left all those links so you'll understand the history of these people. See, one was in, 380 BC? that you have Plato, and then you have Descartes in the 1700, having some of these thoughts. But we also have Immanuel Kant. Is it that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's how you pronounce it. Immanuel Kant. I believe he was an 18th century German philosopher.
And if y'all looking him up, it's Emmanuel with an I, right? Not an E.
No,
I think it's with an I.
It's
It's
with
an E. Okay.
Kant. I don't want this. Kant, y'all. It's Kant. I'm not going to go there. That's so bad. But it's Kant, and I just want to read a little bit about his like thoughts, what he had to say, and this is, you know, from some of the source material. And then I'll get into modern day simulation theory and what they're saying now. And he's a real fun character. But before I get into that, I want people to think about it. If you are believing in simulation theory, even if you don't, I want y'all to understand the implications. There are 100 to 200 billion galaxies. Galaxies in our universe. And within that 200, 100 to 200 billion galaxies, you have millions of trillions, billions of stars. I know that did all wrong, but you got what I'm saying, right? This would have to be an entity that have insurmountable like power to regulate all of that. You feel me? And I think in some of the discussions we even get, I forgot how exactly you put it. I wanted to try to find it before the show. I didn't really take notes. But I believe there was one gentleman, I couldn't even remember his name, but he was talking about how, I think it was Michio Kaku. He's American theoretical physicist, but he speaks on simulation theory a lot, and he puts it more into quantum physics, quantum mechanical type explanation for how it probably can't be. You know what I'm saying? And he speaks on many different things, but one was the Planck length. Y'all can Google that, okay? But it's a measurement, but this is at the subatomic level, right? That entity would have to be that intelligent, but at that level to kind of interplay the background of reality itself, whether it be on Earth or within the universe, okay? If I mess that up, y'all don't cut me off now, get me later, but y'all just hold on to that, okay? And so you have so I gave y'all three people, Descartes, you got Kant, K-A-N-T, however y'all want to pronounce it at home, and you got Plato. Those were some of the people that I looked into as far as this topic. But the number one proponent of scientific theory, simulation theory, he actually calls it simulation argument. The reason why is because in his explanation, he gives you three different arguments, and to him, at least one of them have to be true, okay? This gentleman goes by the name of Nick Bostrom. Some of you have probably heard of him. I think he did a paper back in 2008 or 3. I probably got it wrong. Could be even 6. I can't remember. But I just wanted to read you his arguments really quick, and then I'll let you have a little bit of it, Anthony. But before I do read that, got another Serial Killer official on the panel. Marcus Chilawambe. What up? Holla at the people, fam.
What's good, fam?
What's up, Sid?
Big peace, Marcus. Peace, man. Appreciate you coming through.
I just wanted to touch on, I just hopped on right quick to touch on that the parts and some other things that's going on. So
go ahead, touch on it. Let me go ahead.
So right. Sometimes we hear him talk about the European, at least Western European age of enlightenment. And what they really did was they reinvested in their history. They looked back into Greek and Rome philosophy and ideas and tried to modernize it so they could be relevant to the day's population of their time, right? So we know about, now it's a wild thing. So the Greek, Roman, some Egyptian, some down there by India. I forget the name of the Indus Valley area. Were all doing these writings in historic time, and they all got collected together. I think Bobby Banger always talks about it in around Iraq area, right? By the Islamic scholars early on. When the Moors start to transmit westwardly, they bring some of that information in, and it kind of gets reintroduced into Europe through the means of the Moors and the Islamic occupation. They start the transatlantic slave trade, and they start coming across indigenous people who have maybe haven't advanced as much technology wise, but their cultures and their environments are quite different than what they're used to. And they start getting into dialogues with some of these people. You can listen to read stuff like the Jesuit letters and other things like that. And in the grasp of that, they start to reach out back to their history. And so they start to Descartes, Kant, a few others during that period of time are using Greek and Roman history and philosophical thought, which some of it can be tied in directly or indirectly through the Levant area, Middle East area, that whole northern Egypt, northern Africa type area. And in that, we start to see this development of, they call it the Age of Enlightenment. And so they come up with a lot of theories. They start to define the scientific method, but they start to incorporate other things, right? So you start to see a lot of stuff like alchemy, algebra, all these things are starting to get incorporated throughout the society as a whole. And so that's where we at with it. So that's where Kant and all of them come with. And then they start adding different argumentations and using logic. And what Kant is really known for is two things. And one of it is dualism, right? So he argued that there's an aspect of nature that is unknowable, right? And that we can reason to one point, and then at that point, it becomes unknowable. We don't have the ability to really know it. And so he uses sensory data for that. So we can only recognize the world based on our senses, right? And for his time frame, you're talking about the 1700s, that would make 1600s, 1700s, that would make some sort of sense. But now we have tools that we use today that can help with those sensory information. So like the James Webb can see way further than what we can see with a regular telescope, right? fMRI, MRI machines. We now have more tools and techniques that can not really necessarily more confine how we look at the world. And we can use empirical data based off of that. But philosophy is not solely based on empirical data. And we got to remember that in the conversation.
Say it one more time. Say it one more time.
It's not rooted in empirical data. It doesn't have to be. It's right.
Philosophy is not confined to naturalism. So philosophy allows you to do things that are not doable within the realm of methodological naturalism. For example, we can explain and discuss the mechanisms of the mind, of the brain, and all these things. Now, philosophy is going to start to ask the question, but why do we have a mind? Why do we think? And that question of why is a fun one, but there is no empirical way that you're going to answer these types of why question. That's the metaphysical aspect of philosophy. However, we need to be firmly rooted in the fact that this speculative process is one fun to engage in. However, it doesn't provide us with any empirical data. And we're not going to make the mistake again of structuring a society based on a concept that is not rooted in actual empirical data. For example, free will.
Well, and speaking of that, even our laws
are
somewhat based on this Age of Enlightenment, the doctrine of discovery and these things that took place during this period of time. That's where some of our structured societies are at now, laws and things like that. Even some of our moral codes are from this area. You have to like go back and listen to the arguments between each other. But a great book to read that talks about some of the influences that came not from European, but from Native American and African sources is a book called The Dawn of Everything.
Yes.
Mentioned that numerous times.
Awesome book.
Yeah. So if you read that, if you read that book, he talks about, I think it's I'll tell you the Native American name, which went on a tour, and he starts to construct what was going on in Europe and how they were coming across these indigenous tribes who had their own philosophy on how people should get along and how that helped incorporate some of that into the thing. So I wouldn't say it was just all European, but we got to know the processes that went through it. I'll give me a second. I'll pull up the guy's name.
That's fine.
I think it was like Caddy Rock. I think it was like Caddy Rock or something. I'll let you know.
I'm sorry. I want to add a few points. One, Plato's cave allegory is in his writing The Republic, if anybody's looking for that. But shoot, I left it in the description box for y'all. Wish I go utilize my description box because I work hard to give y'all them sources, right? I also left y'all some videos in there and some different points of views from scientists from different fields in science, okay? So I hope y'all enjoy that. Also, one of my favorite sayings, and I never knew he was the one that came up with that, but it's nice to know now. I think I'm gonna get more into my philosophical bag for real. But Rene Descartes is the one that you hear people saying, I think, therefore I am. That's Descartes, y'all. You're welcome. So before we go on, before I really hand it over to Anthony, I know it's like you lying. We're going to talk about, I want to talk about Nick Boystrom's because we're dealing with modern times, right? All those other people led up to what we have now. So I'm just going to read a little bit of Nick Boystrom's simulation theory. He calls it arguments. Remember, his point of view is that, or his hypothesis, and not a scientific one. He's definitely a philosopher. He's a professor at Oxford University, or whatnot. I believe he is from the Netherlands or one of those places. I personally don't like this dude because I heard some very inflammatory allegations and things that he said about people that look like us and that he liked to use that word. I'm just saying, maybe I'm being messy, but I was like, oh, but what I did like is when I watched Neil deGrasse Tyson interview him, I felt like Neil knew that too. And I felt like Neil was giving it to him a little bit. Y'all check that out. Y'all tell me what y'all think, but I thoroughly enjoyed that. I've actually seen that Neil episode like 3 times. He don't like black people. And I was like, oh,
he is from the Netherlands, and his arguments are just like they're weak. Like,
but let me go through them for him, okay? And also, thank me later. If y'all want to really read, I call it like intellectual BS, okay? Because I've read Nick Boystrom's simulation, quote unquote, argument, and I ain't even get past the first paragraph because I felt like he was playing with my intelligence. Like,
correction,
he's open, but I was like, nah, nigga, you ain't got, excuse me, that is not it. But anyway, I left a PDF of Boystrom if you want to read the paper in its entirety, and you can be the judge. But let's get into it a little bit, and then I'm gonna hand it over to Anthony so we can scientificize the subject matter on where we think it should be going or how we actually should be looking at it. Like, we want to examine different perspectives on the conversation. That was the main point of this show. So his arguments goes as the substrate independence argument. He argues that post-human civilizations, and he explains all this in his paper. I'm not going to get into all that because y'all got to do a little reading like I did. could run ancestral simulations of their evolutionary history. There is no reason why they would be limited by using biological substrates. They could use other substrates such as advanced computing systems. Oh boy, man. Whoever is behind the simulation theory, boy, they're a bad memo jammer. You feel me? Because there is just so much. Like, I know people go for it, but even at point one, like, you got to get past some things in quantum mechanics, quantum physics, like logic. I hope you're listening and you really need to go understand what butterfly effect is, right? Butterfly effect, which was actually formulated by a meteorologist, understanding that weather conditions could be, how should he say, affected by a butterfly flapping its wings in Brazil, creating a tornado in Texas.
That's rooted in the chaos theory.
Right, that's in the chaos theory. That's one of the points in the chaos theory, which I find very profound. And until someone can get past that, I ain't listening to you when you talk about some simulation argument theory hypothesis. I can't listen to you. Okay, like, you got to get past some stuff. But the second argument is the abundance of, hold a thought, I'm gonna let you have it, the abundance of simulation argument. So Borstrom suggests that if it is possible to create ancestor simulations, there might be a vast number of such simulations created by advanced civilizations. That's a lot of simulation. That's some trillions and trillions and trillions, y'all. Yeah. But if so, the odds of any given conscious being being in the original reality rather than a simulated one would be low. So yeah, it's like simulation is simulating a simulation that's simulating a simulation. You know how you look into mirrors and you see that infinity of you? That's pretty much what that is. And that's how his paper reads. Like, no bueno. And the third part and the last part is like the technological post-humanity argument, which Borstrom considers the possibility that a post-human civilization can have the technological capability and motivation to run ancestor simulations. If such civilizations are likely to emerge, it increases the possibility that we are living in a simulation created by one of these civilizations. Now, with that said, he spoke a lot about technology. And with the technology, I want to get into really quick, and I'll let y'all have it, is I don't want to pronounce it wrong, the Kardashev scale. Kardashev was a Russian, and so I did pronounce it right. It's a Kardashev scale. It's a hypothetical framework, and I want y'all to check this out. It proposed by Russian astrophysicist Nikolai Kardashev. But listen to this, y'all. So, and then I'll tell you where we actually stand, right? So it's the capability of harnessing and using all the available energy sources on its home planet. So, for instance, say I use Earth. Can y'all put a 1 in the chat to think, and this is level 1, to think we're at level 1. Again, this is harvesting all the available energy resources on the home planet. This includes renewable energy sources, weather control, and other technologies. Level 2, or they call it type 2 civilization, would be capable of utilizing the energy output of an entire star. Now, in order to do this, you would need something called the Dyson sphere. Yeah. And the Dyson sphere is basically, well, we got to be so advanced where we can basically go out in space, right? And trap a star basically in the box. I'm being funny, but literally be able to control and trap a star in a box. That's what I'm gonna say it, and be able to harness its energy. All right. In type 3, and I ain't even got to read it. That's not only that you could trap one star in a box, but you can actually utilize the whole galaxy.
The whole galaxy.
You got all the stars in a box, and you can harness their energy. That's the Kardashev scale.
Hey, if you wanna if you wanna see that Dyson sphere in action,
Oh God.
go look at
It's a movie, right?
yeah.
I forgot the name of
the Avengers. The one where Thanos went to Wakanda. Which one is that? That shit.
That's
So
the
that
first
means
one.
that's the one with
Infinity
Black
War.
Panther was in. That's
Infinity Wars. Yeah.
Ah,
On that part where Thor went to meet the big old midget. You know, the one who make the weapons.
Yeah.
He had to hold that thing open to harness the power of the neutron star to make his new hammer.
I finna
You know
watch
what I'm
the
saying?
movie again, boy.
Hey, the movies, boy. Hey, better be careful.
Infinity Wars was pretty dope, though. I ain't
Hey,
gonna
that
lie.
was fire.
That was one of my best.
Fire. But that's kind of like being able to harness the energy of a star. You know what I'm saying?
That means we put our sun in a box, y'all.
We're not there yet. We're not there yet. I mean, you can't even get people on this planet to go to try to use solar energy. You know what I'm saying? So,
Ninja, really, for real, y'all.
That's just a movie, y'all. That's just a movie.
We are very primitive in our development. Right. In terms of our, and we were having a brief discussion about this the other night. As a form of survival, we have many different ways in which animals survive on this planet. Right. Humans are pretty much parasitic at this point. So to think that we are at the point that we're able to
listen. So parasitic. That's so funny, Cedric. Because who said they weren't gonna say that in public? But listen, parasitic sounds so negative, right? It has such a negative connotation, but in actuality, we have no choice but to be quote unquote parasitic. Y'all think about it. We have to live off of the animals, we have to live off of the land, we have to live off the sunlight. There's no getting past that. So it's like, and I love these conversations because they make you think about things that you would normally have a linear way of thinking. And that was another point in learning all this, understanding, nonlinear concepts. And this just reiterated, but you have a linear way of thinking, but then when you actually are forced to, think about it analytically, then you be like, oh man, okay, nah, I'm a parasite. I'm a proud parasite.
Yeah, but the point was not to be negative, but to consider the fact that we have reached to the point that we're able to harness all the energy of our planet. So let's face it, we even ain't there yet. No. And we're talking about neutron stars.
You messed it up. I wanted them to answer what level they thought they were. But y'all, we are like -1, actually, when it comes to the partnership scale.
We ain't on that scale yet, yo.
There. And we and from the looks of it, we won't even be there, in another 100 years. I'll say another millennium. Like, yeah, we're not even close. Maybe another millennium, but we ain't there yet. And we ain't gonna be there. We not gonna live to see it. I'm sorry to tell you. I'm sorry to tell you, you're not gonna let us say it. So y'all
no one in the range of my voice right now will be here to experience that future.
Nobody. Unfortunately. I'm sorry, I gotta correct myself. Emmanuel Kant is spelled with an I. I'm sorry, you was right, Anthony. But I wanted you to discuss why we're really here tonight. We gave y'all to give you this, Anthony. We wanted you all to have a different perspective about the simulation theory.
Scientific.
Take your time, Anthony. So Anthony is I ain't gonna put his business out there, but y'all just give him some time. Have some grace for him, okay?
Well, like I was stating earlier, for me, the scientific perspective works. You know what I'm saying? Asking critical questions, gathering as much information, and just paying attention to the information that that I'm receiving, and trying to build an understanding for it. Okay. Break it all the way down to its most basic form. And like I said, for it to be a computer simulation, the way that we know how computers work, they need a power source. And we have to plug our computers into something. So where is the plug? Now, you can sit up and tell me anything, but I guarantee you whatever you tell me is going to be subjective. It's going to be what was made up in your head. And there's not going to be a way to test it. So, I'll give you an example. Well, the plug is, plugged into a socket in a parallel universe. How can we test that? You know what I'm saying? How can we go to this parallel universe and see this plug for this computer that's simulating our universe? It's impossible. So I can check that off the list. There's no way for me to get to the main power source for this computer that's simulating my life. So there's no way for me to test that. I checked it off the list, and I probably don't need to go any farther unless I want to get into the realm of speculation. Well, being scientifically minded, I can't do that. You know what I'm saying? I need something that I can test. And I need something that, it's gonna, the results of those tests are gonna help me to get my understanding about said subject. So, and like I say, that's just how I operate. That works for me. So I felt like this would be a good topic, to discuss, simply because, all the conversations we've been having, especially in our Discord, and y'all need to be, get into that Discord because it be going on in there. But I felt like this would be a good topic to tackle because of the philosophical angle, and I applaud my sister JuJu for bringing that to the forefront, the philosophical angle, because to me it's rubbish, but
pure rubbish,
like I said, in my perspective, with the scientific, the scientific perspective, I can't test it. There's no form of the scientific method that I can apply to this idea, to try to get an understanding of the reality of it. Is it real? And the conclusion I come up with is, okay, I can't find the plug to power the computer. Who's operating and programming the computer? Because you can build a computer, but you need a program for that computer. This is what we know of. It's all about trying to get back to that God did it, because I can easily say God powering the computer. Easily. God did all it, he's operating the computer. But then I ask myself, well, why would he need a computer, to simulate us when, if you got that kind of power, you can make everything. But then now that's another rabbit hole you're going down. So to me, it's God of the gaps. You know what I'm saying? That's where I'm coming. That's my perspective of it. And like I just explained, the reason I feel that way is because I can't get any type of objective tests done to prove this idea. There are no objective tests. So maybe we're asking the wrong question. You know what I'm saying? Maybe the question that we should be asking is, can we simulate the universe in a computer?
Mm-hmm.
And that we can do because we have evidence for things that are going on in this universe. We have the evidence for it. And there's lots of evidence. We have real scientific theories that explains a lot of the phenomena that we see in the universe. All of this can be put into a computer to help bring understanding of the activity going on in the universe, which is what a lot of astronomers do. You know what I'm saying? A lot of these things, now, take for instance, the life of the sun, okay? We see stars all over this universe. Now, I can't see stars outside of this galaxy with my telescope, but Hubble, James Webb, all those, they can. You know, they can see stars. They can pick stars out of far off galaxies. I can't do that, but they can. So you can take that information and all the different, I guess you can say the life cycle of a star can be seen all over the universe at all different stages.
Right.
And you can take all that information and put it into a computer simulation and run different programs on it to come to what you actually observing. See, so you can take all that information and put it into a computer and then simulate the universe. So maybe we going about it all wrong by saying that the universe is a computer simulation, and should be asking, can we simulate the universe in a computer? And like I say, that's a big part of astronomy. That's what they do. They take all that information that's been gathered and still gathering with all these different instruments, and you can put that together and come up with a picture that'll tell you, well, the sun is been here about 5 billion years, or whatever the case may be. This star over here has been here this long, you know, because you have all this information about stars in different points in their life cycle, and you can put it together. But nobody can say that they've seen a star from start to finish in its life cycle. It's too long a time. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So we need those computers to help with that simulation. But like I said, it's a simulation that's based off of factual information that's been gathered, not speculation, and not something that's just made up. No, that's not how it works. So that's where, you know, that's why I stand on it, being the enthusiast, the astronomy enthusiast, not an expert, but I listen to the experts and I understand a lot of the experts. I'm just an enthusiast. That's my thoughts on it. You know, like I'm saying, scientifically minded. That's me. That's where I'm at.
Cedric, got anything to add to that?
Yeah, I want to build on what Anthony is saying. I'm going to take it back a little bit.
Go ahead.
Philosophy is intellectual masturbating. It is understanding the parameters of logics and using this to construct arguments that contribute to your ability to think, reason, and produce arguments. That's the whole basis of philosophies. Intellectual masturbation. Producing a sound argument doesn't mean that it's true or factual. Mm-hmm. Within the realm of science and such is reality, we ground things. So there are principles by which we operate. And being, like Anthony also says, scientifically grounded and without even using the philosophical premise, once you engage in science, you're actually engaging in methodological naturalism. Naturalism is the fact that we are going to observe a reality, and we're going to explain reality within the realm of natural processes, right? That's how that functions. And then once you understand these principles, it's easy to distinguish when we're engaging in an actual empirical conversation or when we're engaging in intellectual masturbation. When we're discussing things like a simulation theory, it is purely intellectual masturbation that people, and Anthony, like Anthony and myself, actually we dismiss rather quickly. Why? Because we go back to the basic components. If you're talking about a computer, you're actually saying you're talking about a creator. You're talking about an entity that produces this. We are talking about a programmer. You're talking about someone that has to put the data in. It needs energy, so it has to be plugged in. So once you understand these parameters, which takes the conversation out of the realm of naturalism, I can allow you to have the discussion. But what we are afraid of, and what happens way too often, and someone mentioned my good brother Lex Vortex in the chat, we have individuals that use these arguments as if they are rooted in hard scientific facts, as if there is data behind it because of the use of these intellectual arguments. And it is disingenuous because that's all it is. It's a lot of talk, empty talk. It's philosophical. It's like smoking a joint while you're watching the stars and wondering why they don't fall.
Hey, leave the cannabis alone, especially. Dude.
What if cat really spelled dog? Whoa, that is deep.
Oh my God.
But yeah, so it is, and I loved it because it ties right back into the whole debate about free will. And
right.
And no matter how much time Marcus, shout out to Chilimwe, grounded the conversation in methodological naturalism, which we were using to test the hypothesis of free will. Logic could not understand that within the realm of empirical data, this hypothesis is not supported.
Chilawambe, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I got the Native American who's in that book. I'm gonna put the link in there. I think well, you know what Descartes says, so I think therefore I am. But nevertheless,
it's Descartes. Descartes.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Logic you could use logic and still be wrong. Right? So you can make a logical argument and it be logically sound and still be dead wrong. Like it's not a requirement that it functions within empirical data. Naturalism, the philosophy of science, which develops the scientific method, all these are processes to help us not fall for the flim flam, just the anything, we've said numerous times, we talked about it, that there was a period when there wasn't a difference between a shaman, a doctor, and a charlatan. There was no difference between them, right? And so then we come up with these methods to check, because truth be told, your brain, your mind, and your senses can easily deceive you into believing something is real and it not be real, in a sense of the way we look at light, right? Even the way matter of fact, let me just say it this way. We live our lives in sort of a realm of deception, right? And science is there to help clarify some of that deception, right? So we still use terms like the sun sets and the sun rises, right?
Yep.
Because of our language. But in reality, the sun isn't setting or rising. The earth is rotating, right?
Yep.
And so we know that, but our language can still confused in that methodology, right? So science says, boom, this is what it is. There's a quote out there. I'll tell you about the quote where they ask a question to somebody and they say, why do people have a hard time about the rising of the sun? And the guy responds, I'm gonna give you the full quote during the debate. I'm giving you just a grasp of it.
I know. You good.
The guy responds and was like, because it looks like the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. He said, and the guy responds to say, well, if it was the other way, we're talking about the earth rotating, what would it look like? And the guess to that is, it looks the same by your sense. Like by your senses, whether the earth is rotating or the sun is moving around the earth, you will still perceive it the same way. That's the beauty of science. It helps clarify these areas in which your senses can deceive. That's all I want to say.
Nice. Gideon Black, Pseudo Killer Army. Did you have anything you want to say real quick?
Yes, Juju, peace. I'm in and out, back and forth, but I'm listening to y'all. Interesting conversation, and I like how Marcus just put that. He had put that same sentiment in another way, in another conversation we had when he said it takes how long you said, Marcus, it takes for the sunlight to get to the earth? Is it 7 minutes or 8
minutes.
minutes?
8 minutes.
Right.
Hey,
Right. So we don't live our lives as if it takes 8 minutes for the light to get here. We live our lives that as the light is already here because that's how we perceive it.
Right.
So perception, you know what I'm saying? Perception will get you, and it's a mind thing, it's a brain thing. You know what I mean? Like I had the conversation with Logic, and I can't seem to wrap my head around his argument. That's all it is for me. Like he dropped the definitions, and I'm like, it's not about dropping definitions because the definitions gotta always remain the same. It's how you interpret those definitions. It's how you put those definitions into real life.
Mhm.
That's when it makes sense for me. If you keep just dropping the definitions, what are you saying but the definition? I don't need to hear that. Implement it in real life and make it make sense for me. Then I could see where your argument's going. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. It's gonna be a tough one. I'm waiting. But philosophical arguments I don't like to delve into. That's
They're
why you see
uncomfortable, right?
I stay quiet
Yeah.
all the time because I see arguments go left based off of BS. It's not factual. None of the arguments will be factual, and the arguments going left. And I'm like, so why they even talking when both of them are wrong? You know what I'm saying? But I mean,
I
that's it for me.
I found it interesting because I felt like you Gideon Black, but I will say being a part of the pseudo killers, even being in the space, even before I became an official pseudo killer, so to speak. The reason why I did because I didn't find my self critique to be a good logical or critical thinker, and I wanted to improve upon that for whatever reason. Like I'm just kind of da 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 da.
Yeah,
But
you invited me into the pseudo killers.
right, but my critical and logical thinking has gotten a little better, right? Because
Yeah,
of scientific literacy, right? And
yeah.
this is speaking to you too, Logic. So even in this endeavor of doing this show and doing the research, so what I would have deemed difficult to understand or comprehend 3, 4 years ago was very easy to understand and comprehend, like because I recognize certain words like dualism, because I understand now, some of the um underpinnings of quantum physics, quantum mechanics, because I know what
Hmm.
chaos theory and butterfly effect actually means. You know what I'm saying? Like I can explain it. You got what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like that's the difference, right? So now when I was researching for the show and even studying some of the ancient philosophers, quote unquote, so to speak, who were the underpinnings for this conversation, even though with their religious underpinnings, I
Hmm.
could follow it, I could get it, and okay, I could objectively understand where they're trying to go with it. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yeah.
I
Right.
can disagree, but I have a clear understanding of their
That's what they're
argument.
trying to say. Right.
Exactly. So I think that the scientific literacy aspect, or to me they're hand in hand, or having that well exercised critical and logical thinking mechanism made
Hmm.
it far more better. So I want to answer a question real quick from Mongo. So Mongo, if you are listening, Meta Rising And I actually, what I'm reading to you is actually, I left the links in the description box, but Meta Rising, it was a simulation, quote unquote, documentary movie. It's like 30 minutes long. It talks very little, but it has Elon Musk on the front. That was really good. It wasn't what I thought, actually. I thought it was going to be like a proponent for simulation theory, simulation argument, and nothing else, right? But it actually gave some pros and cons, like scientists and philosophers who were for it, and then scientists and philosophers who, weren't for it, or scientists who weren't for it, So it gave you the either or type of argument, and I thought that was pretty awesome. Star Talk, and this is any body who's interested in knowing more about simulation theory or argument on YouTube, watching some movies. Star Talk, of course, Big Think. I think I sat and watched an interview with Michu Haku, the theoretical physicist on Big Think, and those are some of them. But I left lots of links, so just catch those links, and you can just put in Plato's cave allegory, and it'll go through the realm of forms. That was weird, real weird and interesting. But if you really want to go that deep into the rabbit hole with it, hey, have at it. I'm good. I'm gonna stay right here. I'm gonna be, sitting on edge, swinging my legs, and I'm not diving that deep or that far. But we are at an hour mark, and we want to make these shows way more concise and not make them too boring, but just give you enough to eat. I love that metaphor. But if anybody want to come hit that link and holla at your girl real quick, please hit that link. I want to hear what y'all got to say about it. I want to hear the pros and cons. What you think it is, what you think our reality is. Like, come on, bring it. Like, don't be scared.
Can I respond to Strife just a second, Juju? He says, I always thought the butterfly effect was pseudo. You know how the ratio of butterflies to hurricanes? Like, you're misinterpreting what these things are. Scientists always give a title. So when we talk about the butterfly effect, it's not actually stating that a butterfly can cause a hurricane. They are painting a scenario which is showing you the different factors that contribute to a phenomena actually happening. It's the chaos theory. It is what eliminates predeterminism. We live in a deterministic world, yet because of the randomness of these multiple parameters that play a role, and they are varying degrees, and they're varying time frame, etc. They all play a role in the ultimate outcome of a particular event, which eliminates predeterminism from any conversation, yet the world remains, or reality remains, deterministic. Go figure.
Right.
Nice. Yeah, butterfly effect is probably my favorite. And I think that kind of sealed the deal for me when we talked about free will. You feel me? Or no free will, because it was that deterministic quality, right? The explanation of cause and effect, and how on the smallest level that can have a huge impact or change, in the long run, right?
Exactly.
I think people understand the unpredictability of nature and reality itself, right? Like, we could do whatever we can to try to control it, but we don't have no control. There's many variables that to play, and when different variables interact, you'll get this outcome. But if any little thing can change, the outcome can be totally different at the end of the road, right? And I think I use this example when we talk about free will and the cause. Like, you can have twins living in the same environment, or I'm not gonna say friends. I'm gonna say friends. They live in the same type of environment, experience some of the same type of childhood trauma. I'll say that. But maybe one of those friends has an uncle who actually doesn't live in the environment, and every weekend he comes and picks that young man up and takes him out of that environment and shows him a different world. So not only does it has a lot to do with the brain conversation, not only is his brain going to be wired a little bit differently in spite of his, initial environment, he also has seen other things to add to how his, mind may choose to predict, right? Because it also has embodied these experiences, not only of itself, but others outside of what he's normally known. So, moving along in the long run, he may divert those negative issues that come with being in a very dilapidated, dangerous environment, and not be succumb to gun violence, may go to college. You know what I'm saying? Whereas the other friend, well, you know what happened. He either gonna be dead or in jail because he has no compass for anything else but what he knew in that environment. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, that's more of a change. But even if it was one experience, like, I don't think people understand how children are, right? And children, they want discipline, right? So they'll and I've dealt with children, so I know. But there'll be times where children want that attention, they want that discipline. You know what I'm saying? Regardless of what their experience or environment is, right? And I oftentimes, because I have none of my own, and I would just volunteer, got children, I would do my best to try to listen and try to see that, right? I don't want to miss that, that may not be all the time, but it can change the reality. Like, I can say my goddaughters, all their parents, most of the people except for one aunt, never graduated from high school. All those girls are graduated from high school. One even went to the military for a little bit. Try to get her in college, I won, but she went to the other, but she ended up going to the military. But just the fact that they all graduated from high school, coming from a family where there's major drug addiction and no high school diplomas, like, just with that, they broke generational curses, But I also like to think that I was also part of their lives at those most opportune times, right? To be an impression to a child and to make sure that they got gifts on every holiday, whether I believe them or not. I wanted those children to have an experience, to know that someone loved them, right? I used to take them to the circus, try to take them to the museum, like, whatever I could. I spend checks on them. You feel me? Just to give them a different experience. And that could be the world of difference. So, getting back to, chaos theory.
If I can add, you just add on to that. You see that on a macro scale too. Cultures that don't have contact with other cultures, that don't interchange, that doesn't have an influx and an outflux of contact with other peoples, those cultures usually die out. And the most affluent cultures are those that have the most exchange and interaction, because their experiences are way greater. So they're able to produce for greater and better societies. This is just a fact of reality on the macro and the micro scale.
Love it. Facts. So I don't know why y'all so scared, why y'all won't hit that link and jump on this panel and talk to your girl. I really want to hear other people's ideas. I think a lot of times people think that pseudo killers just think they know everything. No, we don't. We think with echo chamber. No, we're not. Like, if y'all only really knew the real, like, it'd be
but when we step on
battle royale in that beat.
Battle royale in it every day, but it's okay. I don't want to, just continue the video. We're about to be at an hour and a half, and I think that we could go on, but we've said the most important pieces, so we want to keep the show proficient and efficient.
See,
so
we've set the parameters to keep the conversation within the realm of methodological naturalism. Anyone coming up here with anything else would have to source up or shut up, and that makes the conversation difficult. Because pseudo killers, we're the teachers in this community. Let's face it. You don't get up and argue with the professors now, do you?
Yeah, but I also like to think that I'm a student and I'm always have an objective ear and I'm willing to listen. Tony, I don't know what that's supposed to mean. We're not with the rah-rah. For one, never have our Galaxy and Beyond or the Brain Show has ever been about some rah-rah and has ever been about the same type of conversation that you are used to, and I would say addicted to in the community. But I do appreciate your support because you've been here to a lot of these conversations, and I like that because we may not I feel necessarily get along or agree, but you support this show. So that means, somewhere in there we have some type of common ground. And I appreciate that. Thank you for your support. I'm going to do
Right. It was a good question, Stripe. I wasn't saying you were being pseudo. It was actually a good question for us to expound a bit
yeah,
on what the chaos theory is. I
yeah.
wasn't saying you're being pseudo, my brother. No, it was a good question.
I just really want y'all to hit the link and have a conversation with us because I don't know everything. Like I keep telling y'all, I'll go home and I study for 2 weeks, trying to understand, right? I'm not a philosophy girl, but it was important for us to delve into that to give you a clear understanding of what was going on.
And
But
I know, excuse me, Miss Juju, but I know y'all done heard me say several times, I am an enthusiast.
right.
I can lead you to the experts. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
But
They
am
hear
I an
what they want
expert?
to hear.
Far from it.
Juju,
Far
you know
from
what's going to be a great show?
Mm.
The hard problem of consciousness, qualia. That's a beautiful discussion to have. It,
I
it,
will
re- it, it's a really humbling conversation. It's really humbling.
we'll get there. The thing that I want us to do is to finish out the brain show because I just think that is an excellent show as far as foundational understanding. It's
It
hard to
fits
have
right in there.
double into these other conversations, even about that. If you don't have the foundational understanding, like the physical inner workings, what I'm saying, of the brain, understanding its development and its evolution, and that part first. You know what I'm saying? It's life steps. And I think at this point, I mean, I'm not judging y'all. I'm gonna speak for me. I'm a baby with it right now. You feel me? So as we move slow, I'm able to eat the food because it's pureed for me, right? I mean, I can literally swallow it, and I'm in there. I'm with it. With that. Anybody got any final remarks? Because if not, I'm gonna play the little outro music, and we'll see you next time. And I didn't necessarily label this show, but we're gonna call this season 2. Yeah, I'll probably label
it's
the next show season 2 one. But I'm gonna call this the New Year's edition, right? We just wanted to get back to it, say hi to y'all, and let y'all know how much we appreciate y'all. Mac Rob, Pseudo Killer Official, thank you for coming. Strife, yo, you've been dropping some bomb comments. I really appreciate that, right? Salute Champion, thank you for coming. Um, Anthony
Mac
Bowman,
Rob, pseudo killer fish.
exactly. Anthony Bowman, my
yeah.
host.
I just want to thank everybody for tuning in. I appreciate all the support, the love y'all show us, and I'm gonna end with this like I always do.
Oh God.
Hey, always remember when you scientifically literate, they can't drag you down to their level and beat you up with experience.
Fact.
Peace, y'all.
Peace. I ain't quite done with my shout out, but peace from Anthony. I was saying thank you, Anthony. The host of this show, my tutor, my teacher. Because without him, I'd be lost in the sauce for real. But I'm gonna give a few more shout outs, then I'm gonna play that cue music for you. We're gonna play that hot sauce. I'm gonna kill it. I'm sorry. I like that song. Phoenix Rising. Yo, you bomb. I like when you come to the shows for real. I love how you think, sis. Montu, thank you. You had some excellent inquiries in the chat, and I appreciate that. Gemini Goddess, you already know what it is, sis. Posterior style. I wish you hit that link, dang, because you a beast with this. Rock City, New York.
Telling you.
Sunchild in the hot. You is in the house. Excuse me. You late, Sunchild. What happened? But thank you. Sunchild said good show. Who did I miss? I got you, Tony. Lisa, Pseudo Killer Army official, Lady Killer, Priest Lisa. Thank you so much for all you do. And I got Black Sun in the building. He just think this is Shesmu. Thank you for coming out, Shesmu, and I appreciate your commentary. To my pseudo. Man, I wish I be hitting a link, boy. We actually like to have conversation. We don't like to be screaming on each other, cussing each other out, nothing like that. So let me explain something. At the end of the day, maybe not all pseudo killers feel this, but I am a Black African. I mean, I'm a black. I am a proponent of Black Africanism. I am a Black Africanist. I'm actually. I'm also God. Why I get so tongue tied. Also a Black nationalist, right? My main platform is Black solidarity. Okay, so for me, look, I can't control. First of all, I can't control who want to give me a wrench or not. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not gonna be rude. Like, here, I don't want this. Like, it just happened that way. So I didn't ask for them. Like, I got them. I think it's because mutual respect of the people who run the platforms and me. I can't help that. My social currency is changing.
Juju,
Change.
Juju,
What?
you a wrench magnet.
I know. I got it everywhere. Sometimes I tell people it's a blessing and it's a curse. So don't act like I'm like, no, I don't be like that. Y'all need to know I'll be going in there with my troll account because I don't want the rent for the day. Like I just want to be me. I just want to chill and talk greasy to everybody.
That wrench is a muzzle.
But the reason why I'm saying that is because what we're going to do on our Galaxy and Beyond, what we do on the Brain Show, and the Brain Show is going to be a fluctuating thing, right? So it may be the Brain Show on this season, but next season, which will be in a few more weeks, it's going to be another type of show because that's what we do. What we're not going to do is do the rah-rah. What we're not going to do is be screaming, hollering, cussing people out, disrespecting people. We're not doing that, okay? We don't need to do that. If anything, we just don't kick you off the panel, right? I can't do it, right? I'd rather have the rah-rah in us having discourse and expressing our different ideas, right? And then coming to a sound agreement. Not even a conclusion. Sometimes ain't gonna be like we agree, but a sound agreement as we're gonna agree to disagree, but be respectful, right? So that's what it's gonna be. Zane, what's up, fam? You got Gual in the building. I love it when you come by, fam. I appreciate the support. But if I'm missing it, we got Goss Herbert.
Fam, Gemini got it.
Peace, Gemini.
How you doing?
I need him to hit the link one day and really pronounce the name right because I will mess it up. And you know how Black people is? Look, when white people mispronounce their name, I make sure they pronounce my name right. You ain't just gonna call me no Julia. That was from the other night when we was talking about passing. I was like, well, I'm be a passing boy. Call me Julia. Call me Julia Smith. Yes. Yeah. No. We'll have that conversation some other time, but
y'all don't forget to smash the like button. Smash the like, get the like all the way up.
Hit the like button. I feel like when you say smash, that goes into something else. So tell them to bang the like button. Yeah, we could bang that like button.
Oh yeah, we pseudo killers, we banging.
Every time you say anything,
hit the like button. Hit the like button.
Ladies and vitamin, and that has such a bad taste in my mouth. And I feel like on 2024, I want to do, no ladies and vitamin. Like,
yeah. Like I'm so over the intellectual dishonesty. I love doing shows like this when we can really get into the meat of some things that we need to delve into. This is much more productive environment, which I appreciate being it.
Yeah. You're trying to learn here, not argue.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
hey, and don't y'all forget, y'all can go, after the show if you got any questions or things, go back in the comments, of the show, because we normally monitor those. So
yes,
you have any questions, we can,
or comments,
answer them. If you, like I said, that also helps with the algorithm. So if you got any questions, anything about this show, comment, after the show, and we'll jump on it.
Yeah. God, I lost the point. So one thing I wanted to say, and it's weird that I've heard none of the Maniacs talk about, is I want y'all to go on the website and look for the Grand Museum of Egypt in Giza. Yeah, they are partially open right now. And when you read about this museum, you will be absolutely fascinated. Like it's going to be like one of the biggest museums that we know with some of the greatest ancient Egyptian artifacts known to us. So, I mean, it's funny because if they're supposed to be proponents of everything Egyptian and the information like that, I've known this information for about 3 weeks now, and I haven't heard nobody say anything about it. But you heard it here first, so there it is, though. But yeah. Good night.
Hold on, Juju. Hold on.
Peace. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Everybody, don't forget we
20.
we on other social media platforms too. So check us out on Facebook, Clubhouse, Twitter.
Let's keep it 100. Let's just keep it at Clubhouse right now on Facebook.
Okay. We working on the other one. Yeah, y'all can find us there too.
We got them, but we getting active on. Go ahead, but we're getting active on Clubhouse. Go ahead, Marcus.
Yeah, that's it. Look for Pseudo Killers on Clubhouse and on Facebook, and we working on this. And make sure y'all check out some shows we got coming on. And if y'all got any suggestions for any shows, please just leave a comment in the videos, and we'll put them on a list and see where we go with it. Because it's definitely, we want to be able to discuss the things that are interesting to you as well,
right?
Not just the things that the Pseudo Killers in the Discord discuss. So, and also we may be doing some. I don't know, it's like an open enrollment or opportunity for people to join the Discord soon. So keep on the lookout for that as well.
What about, you got one more thing to tell them, Marcus? The most important thing.
Oh yeah, and we also got a debate coming up. I think we got a weigh-in this weekend, like Friday or Saturday, and then the following Friday we got a debate coming on determinism.
Hard in it.
Hard determinism versus compatibilism, freedom, free will. So that's coming up. So that's going to be
yeah, baby.
Very, very interesting.
Oh, and don't make sure you hit that link so you can get that Pseudo Killer gear. I ain't gonna lie, I wear this sweater like every day. So warm, super comfy. So yeah, if you want one of these, you got Pseudo Killers, Community of Skeptics, or SpaceAgeAfrican gear. Like, get that. Hit the link. Get you a sweatshirt. This hoodie is bomb, boy. I be killing. Let me show you when we go out. Let me get my thug fizzle with my hoop earrings. Hey, let me take the glasses off so they'll really be scared of me though. Yeah, boy. So that's it. We out.
Miss Juju, before you go, I want to say one more thing. Yeah, make sure y'all tune in next week. We got a good one coming up next week. We're gonna be talking about them gravitational waves being detected from the Big Bang. So yeah, more evidence.
Oh, that's gonna be hot.
So make sure y'all here next Wednesday at 7:00.
Next Wednesday at 7:00. We got a bagel. All right, y'all. Anybody else got anything else to say?
Negative. Run that DQ shit.
Run that dinner. Run that. Hey.
Run it.
Run it.
Give me that. My took.
DQ, baby. LAE on the track. About to have some fun with this one. Check. Back to catch wreck. No respect for those who break their neck to keep their hoes in check. Be sure to check the box off how I'm knocking their socks off. Unique flavor, stay in the bag like hot sauce. Let me get mine off. These niggas is tripping, they signed off. I'm becoming a one-of-a-kind boss. Think the kush is for Germany, the way the man cough. Hilarious with the flow, I'm fucking the word off. These niggas claim they hard, they really appear soft and peeled off. Mad job when I aim when the spear's tossed. Newbie ass rappers is really my kids now. I'm just Aubrey on the gram, cropping these kids back out. To catch wreck. No respect for those who break their neck to keep their hoes in check. Be sure to check the box off how I'm knocking their socks off. Unique flavor, stay in the bag like hot sauce. Better call a timeout. A fool nigga, you a fool nigga. Think you can fuck with this rap style? I do this shit for fun. I'm really the class clown. Tap dancing on top of niggas' heads till they tap out. Really the cash cow. Submission hole, yeah, you pigeonhole. Realizing you're diced and crapped out. Put yourself in the box, you really just assed out. Cause your boy about to pop and I'm shutting that ass down. Cream of the crop, it really get passed round. Cause I'm cooler than the cooler of Cruise and Hicktown. Niggas claim they rappers, they really just sit down. Only rap for Facebook, I'm reporting that shit now. Compilation of music, sending the zip file to the nearest A&R. Big fish in the big town. Musically inclined, I'm never gonna slip down. Cause the shit is going up as soon as it's mixed down. Catch Rick, no respect for those who break their neck to keep their hoes in check. Be sure to check the box off how I'm knocking their socks off. Unique flavor, stay in the bag like hot sauce. DQ.